pure pickle.
Did you grow up with a NES, PlayStation, Star Wars, cartoons, and 80s TV? Do you like to think who would win in a fight between Batman and the Master Chief? Comics, games, movies, music, and TV, they're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. Games, movies, music, and TV, they're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of This Week in Geek. This Week in Geek.
Well, hello. Welcome to what is probably now going to be the final podcast that we release with any reviews before the holiday season break. I'm speaking a little more soft and, dare I say, ASMR-y, simply because over the past few days of major recordings that we've done and having to be up doing the Game Awards and the holiday gift guides and all that stuff, I'm starting to lose my voice, and I'd rather not have it be completely gone when I go for Christmas with the family. I know Birdman is currently not feeling the greatest. He ended up losing his voice, or for the most part losing his voice, and he's been doing a lot of city meetings and stuff with his advocacy stuff. So, it looks like everybody here at Twig is feeling the holiday, I guess not quite flu, but sore throatness, or at least scratchy throatness. And I think we overdid it a little bit with the amount of stuff we've done in the last few days. So I did mention when we've recorded the previous couple of sessions that we would probably have one more review show just to cover some of the items that had sort of been stuck in the mail, or things that we received past our deadline where we could actually have everything prepped and ready to go for the regular holiday gift guide. And we've done this in a couple of years in the past. This year it's even more important to do because of the Canada-wide postal strike. So we received some stuff, shortly before the postal strike happened a month ago. And then anything that was sent to us via a courier after that we received. But we still actually got, at least on my end, about 8 packages that I know of that are stuck in the post system, which should finally be moving, because as of this recording, it was announced, I guess, that the federal government is intervening, and they are going to be, forcing the mail to start flowing. Who knows how close that's going to be to Christmas for people to get their Christmas cards or things that they've ordered. I've actually got a bunch of stuff waiting that I'm hoping arrives before I have to tell some of my cousins and people that, hey, Christmas is going to come later, because I've actually had stuff that I ordered that was, I think 2 or 3 days it was put into the mail system before they went on strike. So it should have been here like a couple days after that. But because of the strike, it's sort of probably been sitting at a warehouse somewhere. So I'm happy to hear that at least that's going to be flowing, and we're not going to have to be worrying too much about the mail moving forward. But those items that have been stuck in there forever that are related to the podcast, we might do another review show in January before we're officially back. But because we do want to make sure that they're timely if we can. But they may have to wait until at such time that we're ready to come back into full force end of January or so. But right now, what we're going to have is a few recorded reviews that we had ready to go, but wouldn't have made it into our final regular show because of either review embargoes or they were just sort of half ready to go at that moment. So we'll have sort of that in between, our intro and outro here. But in our intro, I did want to mention that there's a few items that we wanted to have in our holiday gift guide, but to try to make it concise, we try to keep the holiday gift guide within a 2-hour window of listening, because it's a lot to listen to with us talking about so many different products. And then we know that dynamic ad insertion happens, and that can extend out depending on where you're listening to, you could end up getting an extra, 20 minutes worth of ads, depending on if it goes beyond a certain point. So, that being said, there were a few family and toy items that I had wanted to include that I wasn't able to. Birdman was able to get pretty much everything that he wanted in because I was the one that was handling a lot more of the stuff, because for the most part, he had been given things that were going to take longer to review and figure out, as well as he had a lot of other stuff on the go. So that's why the review guide, the holiday gift guide, was more slanted towards a lot of the stuff that I had to talk about. So I made sure that I got in, tried to get as much of a variety as I could, but there were a few items, as I mentioned, that couldn't get in. So I'm going to just briefly talk about them here. And they're items that were part of our Black Friday deals that we talked about, I guess, almost a month ago now. But that is to say, there is a cool variety here. We had Hitster, which is a music board game. I guess you play it with cards, but the idea is you have one player who's a DJ. They play a song from a card, and what you do is you have to position the music card that you get on a timeline that you're building. The idea is you're listening to songs. You have to try to figure out what year that the song came out, and you sort of have to try to make a full timeline in the correct order from, oldest to newest. And how it works is there's a QR code on the back of the card, or the playing cards, and what that does is connects to Spotify, plays a song, so it's all integrated that way. It's actually pretty cool, and it's something you can set up and play very easily. It's kind of fun to try to play it with people that are younger that don't know necessarily as much about music as somebody that's a music nerd like myself, but it's pretty fun. It's something you can pick up and play at parties, like if you're waiting for pizza to arrive or that sort of thing. So that's pretty fun. Another item here is the which one should I talk about here? I guess it probably the Loop It. Now this is a from the brand Flick Flack. Again, sorry for losing my voice a little bit here. And that is a watch with a cool retro, like 90s, 80s inspired strap band. It kind of reminds me, like, if you remember those, what were they called? Like the snap bracelets. It's not a snap bracelet, but it has those same colors. But it's just like a cool, interesting watch that you can get in, very high quality. I just think it's kind of a neat thing. That sort of, 90s is now retro, which is terrifying to me as a late 80s, early 90s kid. But I guess that's what's in vogue, because it makes kind of sense. Because you remember, I guess for our listeners that are my age, late 30s or early 40s, you remember that when we were kids, what became popular again in the mid to late 90s was all the stuff from the 70s and late 60s, like bell-bottom jeans and all, like when all that Europop became popular again, but it was, like ABBA and stuff. It sort of had a resurgence, 25 years later. Everything comes in cycles, in 25-year cycles or so, right? So these are pretty neat. There's a bunch of different varieties of colors. There's going to be descriptions, links to the descriptions for all these in the show notes, so you might want to check them out. There's also the Playmobil NHL Arena. This is a pretty cool toy set. And the idea is, you remember like those foosball type tables? It's sort of like that, but smaller, lighter, a little more portable. And the idea is you have little characters that you put on top of the ice rink, and you have pucks, and you play just like you would with any other play set. But what's solid is that it is a licensed NHL arena, and it's played with the Playmobil style characters, and it's actually something that can be stored away pretty well. It's not as large or cumbersome as other playsets that I've seen. It has like a recommended age. It says 5 to 99. And that's mostly because there are some small parts. So people with like toddlers or kids that are prone to pick up things and chew on them, you're going to want to wait till they're of an age where they're not going to do that. 75 pieces for it. So you think it would sound daunting, but it's not. It's just a matter of sort of, you've got all your player characters, and then it comes with stickers so that you use add the decals, the stickers to everything, and you can sort of do that manually yourself. So it's pretty neat. Now it's priced at about $100 MSRP. Depending on where you go, you might see different pricing on that. Pretty solid, good build quality, with, a branding and franchise that people know. So that's pretty sweet. I wanted to give a mention to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Sewer Shredders. Now, these, we talked about some of the TMNT toys last year, when we had a decent variety of them to go over. And, they've got more toys, in that same sort of style and quality out there. So if you're looking for action figures for kids, Turtles is hotter now than it's been in probably 20 years with the movie that came out. Was it last summer? That was pretty awesome. There's a brand new TV show. I think it was on Paramount Plus, which is also going on. I think, is it Amazon or maybe it was something else. I know that the show is premiering on other platforms now too. So, it's sort of, pretty hyped. There's been a couple of video games recently that we've reviewed that are based on it now. So it's, a good time. The kids are getting into it. So we'll put a link up there for those as well. There is the Pixel Pets. Now, this is a pretty sweet toy. It's something that, I would have loved as a little kid. And there's a couple different varieties. There's like a Dalmatian, and then there's a Corgi. And what they are, is it's like a little toy that sits down, and it has an LED screen to represent its eyes. And when you turn it on, they respond to your voice commands, touch, and it can reply to you, and it can communicate with other Pixel Pets. It's just like a really neat little smart toy. And, as a kid, I would have been like, this is like the future. So it's cute. It can sit on a little desk or, bedside table, and you can play around with it. There's like over 100 different expressions that it can make for it, and how it responds to you. So that's actually pretty sweet. And finally, there was the Tranquil Turtle. It's by the way, rechargeable. The idea behind this is, it has like this ocean, like moving ocean lights effect that it projects onto the ceiling. So it's a stuffed animal on the bottom with like a light projector thing on top. Perfectly safe. It's not like, you see people that get those little Starry Night projector things that, on Amazon, and they'll heat up or whatever. No, this is nothing like that. This is a completely awesome, child, infant safe. Like, they're made to be put in like the crib or with little kids. Perfectly safe, very high quality, very durable. And what it is, it's a turtle where the back of it is the light emitter. And it's just a very soft light that sort of moves and can soothe and can really, calm kids down and help them fall asleep. And it's kind of cool. I mean, honestly, I know it's for little kids, but I do actually think that adults can enjoy it too. So, like, you could just put that in a room and be like, and I would just pass out and be, because I'm somebody who needs like a lot of white noise. So I always have a fan on, even if it's not pointed at me, just to give me that low hum, because I can't sleep when there's silence. Then I'm hearing like every little creak and crack of an old building. I'm thinking, what's that? Is that like a cat outside, or is that a coyote? No. I need to have white noise fan. I need to sleep with, either headphones in with white noise or a fan on, and having something like that, it's almost like a nightlight that could just go across the ceiling and just give me this like calming blue light. That's definitely something I think as a kid I would have liked to have, and you might want to get for your kids or grandkids or another loved one. So those are the items that I wasn't able to include in the main show that I did want to make sure that we talk about here. So there's still enough time to purchase if you want to get stuff online or in stores in some cases. The timing is kind of perfect for those of us in Canada, because as of this recording, we now have tax-free status for the next 2 months on a lot of toys and Christmas items, and I think it's extended to like food items and baby clothes and diapers and that sort of stuff. But very specifically, toys are also included. So in Ontario, and I think the Maritime provinces, it's all taxes, like even because it's all harmonized. And for the rest of the country, it's going to be the GST off. So if you are one of our Canadian listeners, then this is the perfect time to pick up some of these items. And with the Canada Post strike postponed and back to work likely happening within a couple of days, there might be time if you live in an urban center to get things delivered. If not, a lot of websites will do, if it's a retail store, you can order and pick up at the store, that sort of thing, and you'll still get a bunch of money off with the taxes. So that's going to do it for the stuff that was the spillover from the main holiday gift guide. We're going to take a break while we go into some of the reviews that I have ready to go for some of the other items that may or may not be something that you want to get as gifts, but are definitely things that you might want to get for yourself. And I'll come back at the end and just sort of give an update as to what's going on when it comes to programming during our holiday break.
Basically using geeks.
Leave me alone, geek boy.
Holy shit, you geeks are badass.
Our friends over at Janus Contemporaries and the Criterion Collection have sent a couple of releases over the last week or so for us to check out and review, and these are going to be more quick impression reviews because we're technically on our holiday break, but we wanted to make sure that there was some coverage out for them for anybody that might be wanting to pick them up for themselves or for a loved one for the holidays. And that is, the first one here is Ryuichi Sakamoto's Opus, which this is a composer and performer who had unfortunately passed away I think it was 2 years ago. And what they had done is shortly before their passing, they mustered up the energy to do one final concert performance, and this is a broadcast of that performance. It is quite, moving, and I had not actually heard of this person before, but, for those people within the musical circles like this, they're going to be pretty happy, I think, with this release, because a lot of times you'll see performance releases put out, and they're sometimes of lower quality, but knowing that it's Janus Contemporaries and in conjunction with the Criterion Collection, for sure that it's going to be of the utmost high quality. And it's about an hour and 40-ish minutes, maybe give or take a few minutes. And it's presented in black and white, which adds to the, emotional connection to it. In standard scope, Japanese audio, or Japanese in itself. But presentation on the Blu-ray is that it has a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. So it's not presented in like a compressed format. It's a lossless multi-channel surround set. Sounds amazing. And even if you use headphones, there is a feature that is just the trailer. It's a little more bare bones, but there is one other feature on here, which is Meet the Filmmakers. It's an interview with the director and the cinematographer that helped put this all together, and that in itself is worth watching. So I think it's not going to be for absolutely everybody in our audience, but for those that are big into watching big musical performances and capturing it, especially if you like surround sound, it's got a very dynamic and good mix. And the other release here is Eastern Condors. This is a movie directed by Sammo Hung. This is a Criterion Collection release. The spine number on this is 1244. The movie came out in 1987. I think I saw this. In watching it, I was like, I think I've seen this before. And I think I saw it on VHS, probably a lower quality version that came out when they used to cut them up like crazy. So the basic premise of this is Sammo Hung, who, if you don't know, it was part of the big push for Hong Kong action films. He was always he was like the heavier set, the chubbier martial artist, doing a lot of movies like Jackie Chan, sometimes collaborating, but also on his own. I think a lot of people in their 30s and 40s would know him from the TV show Martial Law, where it was a cop show with him and Arsenio Hall. I think that's been probably 20 years or more since that show was on. But that was sort of where he was known in the West, and then obviously from some of the other films that he had done. But what this is a movie inspired by The Dirty Dozen. It's about a bunch of Asian American prisoners dropped into Vietnam on a secret suicide mission to prevent a cache of weapons from falling into the hands of the Viet Cong during Vietnam. Crazy special choreography for the action, exactly what you'd expect. It's in the full CinemaScope aspect, which I'd never seen the movie in before. I'd only ever seen the pan and scan version. It's in Cantonese with English subtitles, and it's a new subtitle, so it's like not harsh and on the eyes, and it's like translated a lot better than I remember previously being. It's a 2K restoration with uncompressed mono audio. There's a new audio commentary on it. There is restoration of the English dubbed export cut, which is the version that I would have seen originally, which they usually cut down and change things around. Sometimes they even change the dialogue and the tonality of the movies. So it's worth watching that. There's interviews from 2001. There is a live stage performance from 1987, teaser trailers, a new English subtitles translation, as I mentioned, and an essay by the film critic Sean Gilman. Pretty solid release. I'm glad that they're starting to do Sammo Hung stuff, and I'd like to see more of the Hong Kong action films, completely remastered and restored by the Criterion Collection. Definitely going to be one that I think could be pulling in people to the Criterion Collection that haven't normally purchased them before, because Kung Fu fans are always ravenous when it comes to wanting to pick up releases. So it's nice to see this, and definitely worth, I think, pretty much anybody's time. Alex, the producer here, with just a quickie review of Fairy Tail 2. We did do a preview of the version that I played on PC, and now I've had a chance to do and play the full game on PlayStation. This is the second game, a sequel to the turn-based RPG that we played a few years back. Now it's an action-based battle system. If for a little bit more in-depth discussion on how the game played when I played the I guess beta, the early access version of the game versus now, some of the bugs that were in the that version that I played have been smoothed over, fixed. It is solid. There's brand new RPG elements to this. Each character has their own skill tree, or what they call origin tree, which is just, sort of a skill tree that you can earn. And it has different branches: spirit, skills, and strength. There are a bunch of different, little bit more complex systems that you can use to upgrade your characters. Each character has their own stories. There's one giant seamless map on the overworld that you can go to. Think like Final Fantasy 12 style, where you can go and just sort of, it's a seamless thing where you just go from area to area, and it loads quite well. The battle system is a lot different than the previous game. The previous game was a very traditional JRPG turn-based system. This is spinning it and putting it on its head a little bit with an action system. It's a little more involved. Solid, good audio. It still is only voiced in Japanese, which was my biggest complaint of the first game, and that they should have just gotten the, I guess was it the Crunchyroll or Funimation crew that did the dub, and that is currently doing the dub of the 100-year mission. I would have hoped that they could have gotten them to do an English translation or an English voice adaptation. So that's really my only criticism of the game, is that for some reason they still haven't gotten an English dub. But it's still a solid game overall. Controls are good. I didn't encounter any crashes or any major glitches, at least in the playthrough that I've done. The storyline picks up where the last game left off and moves forward through the next the next different cores or arcs throughout the franchise. And I do like that that's sort of the approach they've taken with it, is that they take a chunk of the anime and a chunk of it and just sort of present the stories here, and then give you a bunch of side stories and side missions that you can do that sort of break away a little bit from what was in just the main plot of the show. It is available pretty much on every platform: PS4, PS5, PC via Steam, and Nintendo Switch. And I do think it's worth it for JRPG fans out there. Our friends over at Aspyr sent The Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered edition for us to check out on PlayStation. Now, I had not played these originally. There's a gap in my, and blind spot almost, in my, famous narrative single-player games, in that, I usually am really into those. And I know that they had a big pedigree, but there is a gap in that. A lot of the ones from like the mid to late 90s, I didn't get around to playing because either I was too young, didn't have the computer to play them when they were PC ones, as well as some of the stuff from like the PS1 and early PS2 era, I did not have a chance to. So the Legacy of Kain games, the Blood Omen titles, I just never ever played them, but I had friends that did. I think even my younger brother at one point played these games. But so for me, jumping into them, this is going to be more of a preview or a first impressions, because I have not had a chance to do a full playthrough of both yet. I plan to do that over our holiday break. We are technically on a holiday break right now, but we wanted to make sure that we had something out in case you're looking to purchase stuff last minute. We've got right now, as of this recording, about 10 or 11 days or so till Christmas. So, we wanted to just make sure that you could, maybe consider this, because I'm pretty impressed with it now. I'm not going to spoil anything story-wise, but I wanted to mention for anybody that has, maybe played them in the past, what's, difference here? What are some key features? Well, it's a very classic, story, very well revered when it comes to the gaming community. But basically, it's about vampires, and you've sort of risen from the dead, and you go on this quest to master. Okay, I'm not going to say anymore. I'll just say this: it is pretty cool. You control powers of a wraith throughout. You're shifting between different realms as you play as well. And what is basically new here? They've, remastered the visuals completely. You can toggle instantly between the original graphics and remastered graphics, which is a cool feature that we've seen pop up more and more with a lot of these remasters. There is a significant upgrade to the camera. And the camera's been mapped differently, so you're not constantly fighting it as much as in the original, which was, these games are from the era when the camera was really not your friend, and it really took another like 5 or 6 years before we really started seeing 3D cameras come into their own. But there is a map and compass. It's a lot easier to navigate now. They've gone in and added, some quality of life stuff that makes navigating what you're doing a lot easier to figure out. There are updates and features to this where there's a photo mode. There's also new achievements and trophies, obviously. There is bonus materials included. So there is a interactive lore map. There is never before seen concept art. And there's also environments for what they used to call the lost levels. I guess people had sort of done data mining in previous versions of the game, and now what they've done is they've made it so that it's easier for you to check out yourself. Controls pretty well. Sound is great. Story, atmosphere, graphics, definitely fun. It's available on pretty much everything. PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Switch. It's got an MSRP of $30 US. So depending on your country, like in Canada, it might be a little different. But as of this recording, in Canada, there is GST free nationwide for the next 2 months. If you live in Ontario or the Maritimes, it's completely tax-free, all the sales taxes off. So that might be something to consider. At that price, it's basically a stocking stuffer when you don't pay for tax. So I would say definitely check out Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered.
Those magnificent bastards! Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
Alrighty, and that's going to do it. I was going to say for the show today, but for the show and pretty much for the year. We should be back at the end of January with regular review shows and regular pop culture discussion shows and all the other programming. We do have a few shows banked up, ready to go that we've pre-recorded that are going to be sort of across the gamut. We've got a loose cannon on 90s music movies. That's ready to go. We're just sort of figuring out what time slots we're going to put them in. We've also got a Sunday Funnies that is ready to go. That's going to come out, I believe, after Christmas. Yes, after Christmas. And we should, during the break, have a few more Loose Cannons, Future Imperfects. I know that Birdman is working on some stuff with David Neuer. And there might be one from me and Birdman, or me, Birdman, and David Neuer on some Christmas topic. We were trying to figure out what we're going to do for a Christmas special. We might pick a couple of classic either cartoons or Christmas themed episodes of shows that we can just quickly discuss and talk about. And the plan is to put that out, knock on wood, on the 23rd, simply so that you have a couple days to listen to it instead of dropping it on Christmas Day itself. But we also have Earth vs. Soups, as we usually do when we do our winter or summer breaks. We have a couple a week basically coming out. So this week we have Earth vs. Soup episode 229, which is The Long Hair of Death from 1964, as well as later on this week, Earth vs. Soup episode 230, Kiss of the Vampire from 1962. And then leading up into Christmas, on Christmas Eve, we have Earth vs. Soup 232, Beast from Haunted Cave from 1959. And then on the 26th, we have Earth vs. Soup 233, Black Friday from 1940. And then going into the new year, we have something coming out right on New Year's Eve, which is Earth vs. Soup 234, Taste of Fear from 1961. And then on the 2nd, we have Earth vs. Soup 235, The Innocents from 1961. And we have a bunch more ready to go in the month of January and leading into the first couple weeks of February. We've already got them scheduled. So that's what we've got. Plus, like I said, a few things that we're editing in the background and getting ready to post. But we are going to be on a break. And for anything that has come in, since this recording, if it comes in via courier, we'll look at them for review. If Canada Post happens to get up and running quicker than we expect, and we get stuff before Christmas, we won't have another review show until after Christmas at least. But sometime then in January, we will probably have another review show if there are items that are more timely to get out. So, for instance, if we get some movies that were slated originally for a November or December release, we'll try to make sure that we can get some reviews out for those, because at least in Canada for the next 2 months until February 14th, we are going to have GST free across the entire country. And if you live in a province like Ontario or some of the maritime provinces where they have harmonized sales tax, where the provincial and federal sales tax are combined into one, then it's basically entirely tax-free for a lot of gift items, things like physical media, video games, movies. It's going to depend, I think, on the store where you purchase from, but a lot of items will be tax-free, or you might be able to get some discount on them in some format. Plus, obviously, they run Boxing Day deals and Boxing Week deals, and some of those deals extend out into the first week or two of January. So if that's the case, we might have another review show out by then, but we don't know. It's all going to depend on the mail. If we have any video games that are sent, there's not usually a ton of new video games, until at least the second or third or very end of January. So we'll sort of see. Birdman probably has a few things in his backlog to cover, so he might let me know if there's a few things. And I know that I think Ken's got a couple of games that he's looking at right now, so we might wait till we have enough to have a more solid, longer show. And if that's the case, then that's pretty much going to take us into the middle of January. So that's it right now. We'll probably have our Christmas special, knock on wood, fingers crossed, But if we don't, then this is basically it for the year. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, stay safe, everybody. As Birdman says, be excellent to each other. That's going to do it for 2024. We'll be back next year, right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@ThisWeekInGeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
Lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.